Hello and welcome. This is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more Factorio, and I'm here with Rotype, and we've got a new row of science, but we also have another dilemma in that in the last video we went to go do some combat, and I removed everything from my inventory, and Rotype did some work, and he thinks he destroyed the box that had all my stuff, so he's going to tell me a way that I can refill my inventory.
Yeah, destroyed is a strong word. I just told the robots to clean it up. So it's in a storage area somewhere, locked away, far away. So first thing, I suppose we'll just kind of highlight this purple science. This is the last bit of science that we have had to work on other than the science you get from the rocket. And we're still quite a ways away from actually getting the rocket. So, we'll get that quite a bit later. But in the meantime, we're now pretty much kind of done with science. And as you can see here, purple science just needs electric engine units, which we've built before, assembling machine ones, which we've also built before, and electric furnaces, which we have not. And these are right here, but they're relatively simple. We have all of the ingredients that we've made before. This empty belt is actually stone brick, which we've smelted before, but we're just currently running low. But as usual, just kind of come up with a nice little layout for combining those, and we get purple science. Now, one of the things that purple science allows you to do is really enable the logistics system in its full capacity. And I'm looking here on the research screen, and here it is all the way on the bottom on the research options. There's one called Logistics System, and I went ahead and researched that in between episodes. And you can see here, it requires a whole bunch of science, all the different colors, and its effects are these two chests. There's a active provider chest and a requestor chest. And this pretty much completes the logistics system, which we haven't actually talked about at all, so we'll go ahead and do that now. So, Mouse, your inventory is empty, so when you push E, you'll see the empty inventory, and then you'll see in between that and the crafting menu, you'll have this logistics tab. And you see that with a couple empty boxes in there and then a bunch of trash cans below it?
Yes.
Yeah, so anything you push in that logistics section is a logistics request. And what that is telling the robots that I want this many of this thing. So on my screen, I have things like inserters and power poles and transport belt, because I want to always have that many. Like, for example, I always want to make sure I have 50 regular inserters on my person at all times. So I went ahead, and if you click one of the empty boxes, it pulls open the big menu. I went over and I found inserters. I pushed inserters, and then you drag that little slider bar, or you can just type in the number in that little box, and that sets that window, that request. And like I said, that tells the robots, hey, make sure I always have 50 inserters in my inventory. So if I went ahead and used a bunch, then my number would go down. The robots would then see that I have less than 50 and deliver me more. Now, because you have nothing, you have no of anything, if you put anything in there, they should immediately see that you don't have whatever you're requesting and start to bring you some.
Okay, so I have a number of things in my logistics bin. So, so I have transport belt, inserter, so on. When is that all I need to do?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The only other thing that's worth noting is if you hover your mouse over a RoboPort, you get the zones, and we've talked about this in the past. The green is the construction zone. You have to be in the orange zone for the logistics robots to actually come give you stuff. So right now, so you just kind of transited from the green into the orange. That's now, they're now in range. You can now get deliveries. If you're out in the green zone or just out too far away from a RoboPort in general, they can't deliver you stuff. But other than that, that's pretty much it. You can fill in as many of those boxes as you want with whatever items you want. And if we have it in the logistics system, which is another kind of, obviously if there's no transport belt that exists in the system, they can't bring you any. But if there is some, and you ask for it, and you're in a orange zone, they'll come give you some. So it looks like this guy might be coming to give me whatever that is, that circuit. Let's go. Oh no, he's headed off that way. I don't know where he's going, but you'll probably. Here we go. Now there's one coming to give you splitter. I'm guessing you requested splitters, so he just gave you a splitter.
Oh, okay. But they can only carry so much, so all right, that's going to take some time.
Right. Yeah,
I think
so it does take a little bit of time, and that can be
never mind.
increased with research. I've been doing a little bit of the robot carrying capacity research. So if we go into the menu here, let's see. I have researched a couple of those worker robot cargo size, so they can carry more than one thing at a time. There's also worker robot speed, which I'll go ahead and start the next level because, again, obviously the faster they can move, the faster they can get to you and bring your stuff. Here they go. So now if you zoom out and look off to the left, you'll see a whole bunch of them start to come flying in with your stuff. If they turn around and go back the other way, that's because they need to charge, which is a little annoying because they seem to have to do that all the time, but they'll make their way to you. As long as you stay in that orange zone, they'll eventually get to you and deliver you a bunch of stuff. So yeah, it looks like a whole bunch of them are now coming in.
All right.
So that's a pretty useful way to always make sure you have, the things you want. Like I have 2 different types of inserters. I have power poles. I have 2 different types of belt and splitters. And I even like to request things like the electronic circuits and advanced circuits, just because if I'm going to handcraft something, it's helpful if I at least have 1 stack of, electronic circuits or something. So I don't have to make the circuits and then make whatever the final item is going to be. So you can imagine you can fill out all kinds of stuff that you want.
And these are coming from the different chests we have around the base, right?
Right. So what I did, and the reason all of your stuff went away is I kind of centralized our storage location. So we talked a little bit about this before, but now that we have all 4 different types of chests, I'll go ahead and lay them all out here so we can see them. I'll lay out, let's see, where are the other ones? We have purple, we have blue, we have yellow, and here it is, we have red, reddish orange, whatever that color is. And so these chests all interact with this logistics network, which is what provides you with the stuff that we've been talking about. And each of these chests interact a little differently. So we'll start here on the left. The purple one is called an active provider chest. And basically what a purple one will do is it will, if you put stuff in it, it will get it out of that chest. A robot will come pick it up to try to keep the purple one always empty. So if I put something in here, you'll see a robot's going to come and clear it out. It's going to go take it away. So usually what you'll see is something, this will be like a miner or a belt of who knows what. And you feed it into the purple one, but you don't want it to stay there. You want it to go to your central storage location or somewhere else. So you put it into a purple one and it gets carried off to wherever. So that's the purple one. You don't use those that often, but they're useful for certain types of things.
Well, I thought I would check the new train depot. That's where you put them.
Yeah, and we'll definitely go over that. We may or may not squeeze it into this episode, but that's definitely an application for the purple active provider chest. And a lot of times, another thing you'll see is somebody will, a lot of people will put their miners, and I can't actually place this here because there's no mine, but they'll mine directly into an active provider chest. That way, you don't have to run belts everywhere. You can just mine directly into it, and then the robots will go take it away somewhere else. And you don't have to worry about that chest filling up and stopping the miner from working because its output is full. So the next chest, or the next thing we'll talk about, are the blue ones, which are the Requestor Chests. So if you click on a Requestor Chest, you get that same kind of intermediate menu that you do in your person. And that works exactly the same way. You just click on a empty box and you say, I want whatever. So I'm going to say, I want, medium poles, and I want 50 of them. And because it's in that orange network, the robots now know that this box wants 50 poles. So they're going to go find 50 poles. They're going to, put them in, same as if you were standing there asking for 50 poles. That one is pretty simple. I mean, you'll see this a lot of times. People will do things like set them up in front of an assembly machine, and that way, instead of routing belts around, they can just have the robots feed a chest with all the different items you want, and then they'll feed them right into an assembler, and you don't have to, like I said, run belts all over the place and figure out your logistics system any more than just robots bring me whatever the thing needs. Now, the next one is the passive provider chest, this kind of orangey red one. And that's the one you'll see kind of around the base in different places. I've kind of stuck them in. So where we used to just put, say, transport belt in a box for us to come by and pick up, or here we go, here's another example right here that's close. These accumulators, I've just been putting them in a box because I wanted some every once in a while, but I would have to come around and pick them up. If you change your steel chest or any other kind of chest into a passive provider chest, that basically just means put stuff into this box, but also let the robots take stuff out of the box. They're not going to actively do it like a purple active provider chest, but they're going to know that there are, in this case, 200 accumulators in this box. So if somebody wants an accumulator, they'll know that this is here and they're going to come get it. They won't put stuff into the box, but they will know that the stuff's there and take stuff out of the box. So that's a passive provider. Now the last one is this yellow storage chest. And this is almost exactly what you would think. This is just where the storage goes. So I mentioned that robots will not put stuff into the passive provider chests. They won't put stuff into the orange red ones. If you tell them to deconstruct stuff, for example, when you put your stuff in a box and I told the robots to deconstruct that box, they took all this stuff out of that box and took the box itself and put it in wherever they decided the nearest storage chest, the most appropriate storage chest was to put all that stuff. So this is considered your logistics network storage because the robots will not put things into the passive providers, they'll put them into storage. There is a priority system where if you have, let's say, a requestor chest that wants, coal or something, and you dismantle a bunch of coal, it's not going to go into storage and then into the requestor. They're smart enough to know, just go straight to the requestor. But if the requestor already has, say it wants 100 and it already has 100 in it, they're not going to put more in because it already has its 100. They're going to then put the excess into storage. So that is the logistics system in a nutshell. Any questions?
I had one, but I already answered it myself. And I want to see if the
Okay.
robots do it, but we'll see if you destroyed all the wood. That's the question.
Well, yes, I did. We'll get to that. But that's a good point where if we tell the robots to destroy a bunch of trees, then they have all the wood, then they'll go put that wood into a storage chest. I have subsequently done stuff with the wood. Like I said, we'll get to that in a little bit, but that's a good use of the storage chest, and an easy way to accidentally fill up your entire storage chest system is by trying to demolish an entire forest, and then all of a sudden you have no storage left. So you do have to sometimes be a little aware of how much storage you have. Another useful thing about the logistics system, if you hover your mouse over any logistics box on the right, and I know you have a bigger GUI than I do, so you might not see very much of this, but underneath all of the, it says passive provider chest, it has whatever in it, health, last user, number of available robots, which is really useful, where you can see right now we're using, I don't know, maybe 30, 20 of our logistics robots. And then our construction robots, we're not using any. We have 2,257 sitting around and 2,257 total. So you can see your kind of how well you're using your robotic system. And then below that, you have everything that's in the logistics system. This is all the stuff that is in either a storage chest or a passive provider chest, because as we talked about, an active provider chest should be empty, and a requestor chest technically it doesn't count as part of the logistics system. It's used to kind of dump stuff in, but if it's in a requestor chest, they don't count as being part of the system. So you can see all this stuff we have, and you can see it moves around as stuff happens, and we're adding this, adding that. Another nice thing is if you push the default hotkey is L. You'll get kind of a window version of that, so you don't have to hover over something and look at it on the side. And then you can kind of scroll through again. Same information, just all the different stuff that's in our system. You can say the stuff we have the most of is we have 78,000 copper ore somewhere in some storage chest or passive provider chest somewhere. And then all the other different things. You can see we have all kinds of stuff. So that's kind of useful if you're, if you know, do I need to make another one of these or is it in the chest somewhere, stuff like that. So it looks like you just got a bunch of solid fuel. Was that part of your question or just kind of experimenting with the logistic system?
Well, that was just me giving an alternative for wood because you don't let me use that anymore.
Well, yeah. If you hit the L button we were just talking about and look for wood, the one thing, I guess they do. They've added a search function, so you can hit L and then Control F, and we type wood, and nothing shows up. So you can see that we don't have any wood. Opposed to solid fuel, we have 1.5 thousand solid fuel. So, the other thing that we should talk about now that we're talking about the logistics system is the auto trash. So again, in your main inventory menu, you have the logistics page, and you also have the next tab that says auto trash. Now, I pretty much never use the vanilla auto trash, like normal game auto trash, which this tab is. We have a mod installed that existed before auto trash existed in vanilla that I'm just more used to, so I'm not entirely sure how the vanilla auto trash works. So I guess I'm gonna explain our mod just because that's what we're running with, and we can try and fiddle with the vanilla if you want. But our mod, you'll see on the upper left, we have two buttons. You have a button. Well, we have three, I guess, but two that are relative to the logistics system. The kind of yellow arrow pointing towards the person, and then a red arrow pointing away from the person. The yellow arrow towards the person is another way of setting your logistics, same as the main kind of menu option we talked about. So if you click that, you should see all of the things that you set through the E button should also be up there. And this is there in case you want to have different sets. Let's say if I'm on my main base, I want to request these things, but if I'm in some other base, I want to request something else. So you could use this to save different sets and switch between the two. I don't really do that, but that's kind of what that's for. The other button, the one with the red arrow pointing away from the person, is the auto trash. And like I said, this is the mod auto trash. I'm pretty sure the vanilla works pretty similarly, but I like the extra little features that this mod gives you. And so you should see a bunch of columns with buttons and fields next to them, but none should be filled out. Now, what auto trash is, I mean, as you might expect, the opposite of the logistic system, where you're telling the robots, I don't want any of this stuff in my inventory. So often what I'll do, like let's just say I pick up a bunch of science packs. So if you have something you don't want, like for me, my example now is science packs, if you put it in your hand, like you're gonna, put it in a building or something, but instead you put it on one of those buttons in the auto trash menu, it'll show up in that button and it'll put a number next to it. So I believe the default is 0. And if you want to, you can change the number. But what that's telling, for example, I just did it with red beakers. What that's telling the system is red beakers in the button, I want no more than 0 in my inventory. So you can change that number to say, if you want 5, if you don't want to request 5 maybe, but if you happen to pick them up, you're okay with them. But really, you're most often just going to stick with 0. And what that's saying is, I want 0 of these in my inventory. And so you type in your 0 or you leave it at 0, and you have to hit save. Sometimes I forget that you have to hit save. You hit save, and now the system, the mod, will automatically trash any science packs you pick up above your number, above 0. So for me, I saved 0, I picked up 20, and now if I push E, I can see that the 20 red science packs I picked up have moved from my main inventory into that logistics tab on the second level where you have that little trash can. And so that's the logistics trash, and that's a spot to put stuff for the robots to pick up and take away, take to storage. I don't care. Get away.
Okay, can you do that again? So what happened if I did that correct? It's supposed to go in the logistics trash?
Yes. So if you have red beakers 0 in the auto trash configuration menu, and if you've clicked save,
I did.
Then every so many ticks, it doesn't check every tick. It checks every, I don't know, once a second or something. But pretty quickly, you will see that item move from your inventory into one of those trash bin slots.
Is it because I have it on my toolbar that's happening? Maybe I need to put it in the... okay.
Be.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's exactly why.
Okay.
So if it's on your toolbar...
It does not...
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't steal from your toolbar. That, I believe, is something I knew, but probably have forgotten. That is nice to know, though, in case let's say you normally have, I don't want any coal in my inventory or something, but you temporarily want to fuel a train. Maybe you put a bunch of coal in your toolbar and it won't steal it, stuff like that. But if it's in your main inventory, it'll go to logistic trash, and then the robots will come pick it up.
And one last question before we wrap things up, just so that I understand properly. So what the robot's going to do is they're going to take this item and they're going to put it in the logistics network. They're not going to throw it away, right?
Right. Yeah. So everything the robots pick up from either you, or if you use your deconstruction planner to trash a whole bunch of stuff, they're just going to go find a storage chest and put it put it in a storage chest somewhere. So it's not like it's gone. You can get it back. You just got to find it in the storage chest, which can be really complicated, but now we know how to do that with logistics requests. So you don't actually have to go looking. You just tell the robots to bring it back.
All right. Well, I think this is a good point to go ahead and put a cut in this video. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. This is Mouse Gunner and Rotype signing out.